Well, hello, motherfuckers. Hey, hi, how you doing? It is your hostess with the mostest, Tenzen, aka the most known bastard, aka well, that's the only other thing I call myself. My old rap name used to be MKB. Uh, it was like my first and middle initials, but also would mean most known bastard. I don't know. I was trying to do the MJG swag because I think that was probably I think his name was like Marlon Jermaine Goodwin or something like that. So yeah, I was copying his swagger, but then Tenzen just had a better ring to it. So I'm Tenzen now, but I was always Tenzen also because on my Instagram page I was always Tenzen Sama because you know the anime Basilisk. That's where one of my favorite villains came from, Tenzen Yakutsuji. Yeah, his last name was really hard. Yakushi Tenzin, something like that. But uh, but yeah, man, he was so dope because the thing was, yes, he was the most evil anime character ever. Like he was definitely self-centered, out for self. But the thing that made him cool was that you know he couldn't die. He was like immortal. Like so, even if he was to like slit his throat or something like that, like he'll just heal up and just come back. Like, oh, okay then. Like hell, even if you were to sever his head, like if there were some loyal followers of his, they will just reattach it and it'll heal. So, though, well, that's kind of a spoiler if I explain how that happens. But nah, man, Tenzin was dope. Like his mom died during pregnancy. However, they thought that baby Tenzin was dead, but that nigga straight walked out the womb like, hey, I exist, you know. Which he was part of the Iga clan, which I mean they were like he was the antagonist. None of the sides were necessarily the protagonist or the antagonist. It was like Basilisk was like Romeo and Juliet, but ninjas. You know what I'm saying? So that's what that was. Then they made Basilisk season two, which was such a waste of time. I watched it out of curiosity and also because, you got to finish the drill. But holy fuck, yeah, it it didn't live up. The art. I think they went to like I want to say they used a different studio maybe because the art style just looks so different. Um, it felt lacking, and I'm saying this as some dumb fuck who don't know how to draw and who didn't. Oh my fucking god. She knows I have a show, and guess who decides to call? One of my family members. Hold on, folks. Jeez, this is so well. No, I can't because I'm live. It's like, why would I do that? Um, she's trying to ask me for some password I just can't think of right now, but I'm doing a show, so you'll have to talk to me after that. But yeah, Tenzin, you know, the anime version of Tenzen. Yeah, he was that guy. I mean, definitely evil, but he was definitely that guy. All right. Definitely top villain to me. But uh but anyway, today, December 3rd, is my dear mother's birthday. Now, our relationship is definitely far from perfect. We definitely bumped heads simply because, we were both two different people, yeah, like extremely different. Like I don't know. It's just and it was always just like if you're familiar with the Pokemon Psyduck, that's how I felt around her. Like she was Misty, I was Psyduck. Like, it's like, she would mean well, of course, but like she would just nag at me so much. And I would just be like, oh my gosh, what the fuck? Like, I'm just like I wasn't necessarily a bad kid. I mean, but at the same time, it's like, hey, bro, like, can I just chill, dude? Like, let me see what they're talking about because ain't no way you're Mark. Let's see, wants to know. Hmm. She wants to know what email. Well, hold on, guys. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. They're really bugging me about these passwords. I'm like, dude, like I don't be knowing them either. I be having these things on auto. But I do got to have them written down somewhere. It's just, once, my grandmother, she got her own Netflix. So I mean, it should be her email. I mean, but if she's asking about my mom's Netflix, it should be her email. But she got Netflix through Xfinity, so her email should work too. But anyway, but yeah, I said it was hers for Xfinity. So where was I? Oh yeah, me and my mother. We weren't tight like that. I mean, we loved each other, of course. But yeah, we would just, I don't know, like our disagreements would just be so. But part of it was like my mom, she worked nights, right? So I would barely see her anyway. And when I do, she's usually waking up grumpy about something. So it seemed like every time there was some sort of interaction between us, it would just be this like tug of war of like, and it's both of us being unnecessary. It's like, didn't I tell you? And I'm like, oh, mom, Jesus Christ. Cause like, cause I'm annoyed because it's like, damn, nigga, how about, hey, how you doing? First, like the fuck is like, is that really the first thing that's gonna come out your mouth? Like just nagging? Like which I get it, black parents aren't, they're not the most polite to their children, right? But yeah, just so much, stuff that will just happen. But today's her birthday, and we are getting better. And I want to talk about some of the positive things, which, well, first and foremost, like she is a great mother. All right. She's a wonderful mother. I was very well provided for. And, I consider myself, I mean, looking back, I mean, I definitely considered myself to be privileged because I just didn't have to want for anything. But, my family was also a village too. So, with me being an only child, my mom would get me stuff, my grandma would get me stuff, my uncle, peace be upon him, he'll get me stuff. So, I was just decked out. I literally just I didn't have to want for anything. But, yeah, and it's just so growing up with this mom I had, like I said, like gifts, yeah, she'll come through, when I made good grades, because I was a smart kid, so I made good grades all the time. So she would of course buy me stuff, um, like different games or whatever, and she would always make sure I just had the best of anything. So, if she saw that I was interested in something, she would kind of go above and beyond and get it. It was just she was just so strict. But, strict parents kind of make good kids or they make socially awkward kids. Well, I will say strict parents they make good kids, but, you know, uh, as an adult, you kind of struggle because you're kind of socially awkward because you're just so. Cause I guess like growing up, like she would usually yell a lot, so I didn't really feel good about making my opinions known like that. You know what I'm saying? And there'll just be a lot of unfair things she would just do, but that's not about that today. At least while I wait on B, I'm gonna just talk about the positives. And as a adult now, 34 going on 35, you have an appreciation for the fact that there's no manual when it comes to parenting. Everybody does the best that they can with what they have. And, I can look back and say that my mom definitely did the best that she could, and for what she knew. You know, I'm her first and only child. So, yeah, she unfortunately I was the one that, she had to learn with. I mean, now watching her interact with, my younger cousins, well, young cousin Kelsey, um, I see a more patient, individual than the person that raised me. But then again, I was the first child. So, first and only child. She didn't know better, so, but the thing is, like, she was always there, just like any mom would be. She was always there for me. And she still is, you know. She was, what was it? I remember, was it birthday related or just, I don't know if it was birthday related or just, just a special treat for me. But I remember when I was, how old was I? I was definitely a teenager. I had to have been in middle school still. But I remember mom was like, "Yeah, this is a surprise." I remember it was Tuesday, and all of a sudden, I was like, "Oh snap! She got me tickets to SmackDown." So I actually got to see a live event. Well, it was live to me, obviously, but it was a pre-record. But they were pre-recording it for Thursday. That was back when SmackDown was on Thursdays. Um, and was it before? I want to. I want to know. Was it before Valentine's Day? Yeah, it might have been before Valentine's Day. I remember they were saying like it was some holiday tomorrow, which I was like, no, it's not. It's on Thursday. But my little kid brain, I was one of those like idiot children who actually thought that wrestling was real. So I was just like, what the hell is Funaki talking about? Yeah, I think it was Funaki giving the promo at the time. But it was still just an awesome experience. I got to see like what happens after the match. The people roll out they roll out of the ring and stuff like that. And I got to see Farouk get hit by a chair. That was pretty interesting. See, because they had me like they weren't perfect seats, but they were good enough. You know what I'm saying? Like you could still like we were pretty high up there, but you could still see like what was going on. And obviously you could watch the Titantron and get a better view. But yeah, that was back when Chris Benoit, peace be upon him, was still alive. So yeah, like I forget what the main card was. But was I think the main card Brock Lesnar versus Benoit? I'm not sure. Or was it, damn, that was so long ago. Fuck, man. That was such a good time. But my mom was goated for doing that. She would buy me like wrestling posters and stuff like that. She was actually pretty supportive of my interests with, at least whatever interest she knew about. I mean, and looking back, like I used to complain about it, but obviously looking back, I mean, yeah, nah, she was definitely a good parent to do that. But yeah, like my mother was one of those parents who would actually read the back of the video game and see what's in it. So yeah, so more than likely, if she saw that M rating, she was like, "Yeah, Marcus, you're not getting that. What the fuck is wrong with you?" But surprisingly, there would be some M-rated games that she would buy. Like I was so shocked this one Christmas. It was probably one of the best Christmases I've had. She got me Max Payne, the first Max Payne, and I was like, "Whoa!" Because I remember, she would look at Grand Theft Auto and be like, "Fuck no," But yeah, like for some reason, she got me Max Payne, and you know what? And I learned very quick. Yeah, this game is not for children. Like I still played it and beat it now, But that first level was kind of traumatizing because, you know, if you're familiar with the Max Payne series, basically you start the game on the first one. You start the game, you play it as Max. He gets home from a hard day of work, and he's like, "Honey, where are you?" But he sees like graffiti on his wall. He's like, "What's going on? What's that?" All of a sudden, he hears a scream. He's like, "Oh, what the fuck? I gotta get upstairs." So there's these two assailants who were like junkies. They were high on this drug. It was this new designer drug called V. I think it was called Valhalla, but they called it V. I I don't know what it was supposed to be necessarily. Like, I don't know if it was supposed to be an opiate or what, but they were hopped up on it. So obviously that's like a tutorial. It teaches you how to shoot, how to dodge, how to do bullet time. You kill these two guys, and oh, hold on, I didn't tell you the worst part. Now, they didn't actually show the dead. I mean, they showed the dead baby, but they did. So you first walk in your daughter's room, Max's daughter's room, who was an infant. Yeah, she was murdered. Now, they didn't show like an actual dead baby, but they showed like a like a blanket, and you see the child's, hand, and it goes a pool of blood, and you're like, oh no. I was like, whoa, what the fuck? They killed a child? Like, I was always squeamish when it comes to like violence against kids on in media. But he goes into the master bedroom and sees the two junkie assailants, makes waste of them, and then, he sees his wife dead on the bed. So you're like, holy shit. Like, we gotta play this man who just discovered that his wife and child was murdered by junkies. And, and that sent him, he's been working undercover, to which, his partner, well, I won't necessarily say it's his partner necessarily, but, it's a good colleague of his. What was his name? Alex. Yeah. Alex gets murdered, and this is like, and it just goes down this whole rabbit hole because he was on the task force to investigate the Valhalla drug, but it turns out he find and, spoilers, I guess, but this game's been out for shit. When does this game come out? Like 2003. So yeah, this game's over. Yeah, this game is over 20 years old now. If you hadn't played it by then, oh well. But yeah, he was. But what made his wife involved in it? Like, he eventually discovers later on in the game that she discovered something, and there was this the main antagonist. I think her name was Nicole Horn. I know the last name was Horn. I just don't remember the first name. She was the one who was like, yeah, I think she was doing some shady shit with this secret organization. It was wild. Yeah, because you meet some guy named Alfred Wooden or something like that, who was the head of that organization. Yeah, it was intense. Definitely a good game. But yeah, no, like I said, my mom was very supportive of my interests, like, to a degree. So I remember, I believe I told this story on here. I remember the first time I expressed interest in doing wrestling as a kid. Um, my football coach in middle school was also the high school wrestling coach. And, he was saying, like, oh, hey, on my eighth grade boys, if y'all are interested in doing wrestling, you can practice with us. I mean, obviously, since you're, which I don't even know if that was legal technically, but anyway, man, shout out to Coach Cloud, peace be upon you. Um, but no, he would let us eighth graders, practice with the high schoolers, and we would be like, if we did go to a match, we obviously were JV because we're we're eighth graders. Like we're in middle school still. So, she was very supportive. She bought the shoes, and yeah, and she was supportive of the football thing as well, even though I was definitely bad at it. I mean, I think if I'd have stuck with it, I probably would have gotten a little better. But eighth grade was my first and only year playing organized football. Because once I got to high school, I just stuck to wrestling, which I was decent at that too. But the thing was, like, I liked wrestling more than football, so I just stuck with that. And maybe I could have tried other sports. Like I considered cross country to get myself better at wrestling, but I was like, man, hell no, nah. Because the running joke is cross country. What's a sport to them is a punishment to other athletes, right? So yeah, we weren't doing that. But also, my mom did cross country, so I was thinking like, oh, I could have. Who knows? I probably could have been good at that. Uh, but my mother, she is a Air Force veteran. So that was the reason why I was born in Fort Worth, Texas, to begin with, because that's just where she was stationed at. Well, I don't know if she was stationed in Fort Worth, or probably like around there. But yeah, that's why I was born there, because she was in the Air Force, and I slightly remember being in Nebraska for a bit, I guess, because I think she was probably stationed there too. And I have vague, little faint memories of her, actually being active in the Air Force, because, like after a while, like, you know, since she was like, active duty, she didn't really have time like that to be caring for me. And, I don't think she wanted me moving around like that. And also, there are some other things, you know, there are some other, legal things that kind of required her to send me to Georgia. Um, but I was like, I had to have been maybe 4 years old. I just remember getting on that plane with my big bird. I think I was a little shit too. I know I was kicking the seats, but I guess the person in front of me, or maybe there wasn't nobody in the, because obviously a stewardess will come and be like, "Please stop it, young man." But like shout out to the person that was on the seat in front of me if there was one, because ooh, I was such an asshole to you, just kicking the seat. I just want, because like that's what kids do. We just keep, So if you're still alive, person in the seat in front of me, I am so sorry. I didn't know any better, I guess. But it was just me and my big bird. And I think this big bird could talk. Like I think you got to put like a cassette tape in, and it'll talk to you or sing to you or something like that. And every now and then the stewardess will come and help me with it. Hmm. Wow, that's I got a little sentimental. Remembering that big bird, it's funny these memories you get, right? Uh but yeah, so eventually, my mom just couldn't balance taking care of me and the Air Force, so she had to send me to Georgia, and I was picked up by, I think, my grandmother and my cousin Chaz, who we're the same age. So, um, but yeah, but that's how my uncle, peace be upon him, that's how he was my caretaker, for a stint until she eventually got out and could, keep me. But so being in the Air Force, she had, and also being raised by my grandmother. My grandmother's also very serious about keeping stuff clean and everything like that. But being in the Air Force probably like took that up like times 10. So so she was very strict about keeping things in order. Which good things to teach, but she was just very just hard about it, I guess, because again, it's her first time being a parent. Her patience was just very low. So, but it was good. I mean, thanks to her, I mean, I know how to do laundry. I can iron clothes. I can clean a bathroom. Now cooking, I mean, I didn't develop that cooking bug from my uncle. Peace be upon him. But like I can. I mean, if I have some instructions and the ingredients, yeah, I can do whatever I want. I mean, but there's not a lot of dishes that I can just cook from the soul. I appropriated that from soul food, by the way. Like, oh, baby, you remember when Big Mama was like, "Oh, now, child, you don't need no measuring cup. You just know about it from the soul." Well, shit, I guess you should have used a fucking measuring cup because you're dead now. God, that I don't think I can. I'm sorry, y'all. I'll go off on these tangents. I don't know if I can watch that movie as an adult because now that I understand everything, it's just like the lady that they tried to paint as the villain was actually the victim the whole time. So yeah, I mean I forget her name, but the light skinned one, like yeah, like she was cheated on with her own sister. She got cheated on again with her own cousin. It's just like holy fuck, like it's like damn, what do I have like fuck me over written on my face? But oh shit, here's B. All right.
Yo, yo, what's
Yo,
up,
B.
everybody? Uh, what is it? I finally was able to get moving. I was not right for a little bit, but I'm out here.
Okay. Hey
What's
man,
up, y'all?
that's what it be about, man. We persevere. I was just talking about my mom. It's her birthday today. She turned 58.
Okay.
But I was just yeah, I was just going through just chronicling stories. That's all. Just trying to just letting the people know how good of a parent she was despite the imperfections, which the quote unquote imperfections was really just the fact that I was her first and only kid, so
Right,
you're not
right,
gonna get
exactly.
everything right. You know what I'm saying? Because I know
Right.
you're your mom's first, right? So yeah, so a lot of stuff
Yeah,
she
yeah.
probably didn't get right either.
Right, right. No, yeah, for sure. And I think, I think a lot of parents and stuff. Now, granted, I'm not a parent myself, so I can't fully
Right,
talk. But like, I think there are a lot of parents and stuff who need to realize that like, just because somebody calls out that you're not perfect, don't mean that you're bad. You know what I mean?
right,
And I've noticed that from a lot of like parents that I know personally that like really take that like, real serious and personal and everything, and then they want to like argue and fight with people, and it's just like,
right.
yeah,
Oh,
nobody.
you ain't gonna tell me how to raise my kids. You don't
Right,
call me no bad parent. You'd
right,
be like
right.
extra defensive.
Yeah, exactly. But because there are plenty examples of real bad parents out there, you know, for
Oh yeah.
people to
Just watch
know
the
that they're
news.
not. Yeah, shoot, think of all them kids in that Chicago situation. Like, if they had good parents, they wouldn't have been involved with that, you know?
Oh, the kids who jumped that lady and her children.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
even
that
and
was
the,
wild, bro. Like,
that was crazy. And I mean, it was sad to see too. Even sadder, granted, you didn't see all the parents, but some of them, the way that they
yeah,
responded was crazy.
I heard some of them were you was just like, oh well, damn, I see why your kid was like that. Fuck.
Well, yeah,
Okay.
because the one chick like filmed herself on the couch talking about filming her son talking about, oh, you see everybody looking for you. I ain't gonna help you. I ain't gonna help you because you shouldn't have did it. But it's just like, lady, like, hey, instead of taking the time to like punish him while also explaining to him why what he did was wrong, you decided to get some 15 minutes of clout and film
Right.
yourself berating him, talking about how you washed your hands with him and how he
Yeah.
on his own. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like the
Hey,
whole thing is
I
crazy.
could have yeah, B, and and I'm glad you mentioned that, B, because I swear once upon a time, you know, I mean, not necessarily like not in a toxic way, keep it in a family, but it's like, nigga, I'm not gonna air my dirty laundry out to the fucking world. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna discipline my kid in a
I've
respectful
always hated
way in
stuff like
private.
that though, where it's just like, for instance, like people, will take their kids and make them wear some stupid sign on the side of the road, or like, or film themselves like whooping the kids or stuff. I hate stuff like that because it's like at the
Yeah,
end of the day, you're treating parenting like content
right,
creation. Like, instead
right.
of taking the time to
Yeah,
actually discipline your child, you want to get likes and clicks from other people talk about, oh yeah, spare the rod, spoil the child, stuff like that. And it's just like, even
mhm.
if you do feel like that's a proper punishment, why do we have to see it? You know
Yeah,
what I
like,
mean? And then you're gonna embarrass your child for years to come because them videos don't go
yeah.
away.
Right, and that's what I was gonna say too. Like, this was back when I think I was still a teen when this came out, because like social media was just now kind of getting to where it is. It
Hmm.
was you might have seen this video too. It was like it was like this dad, it was like berating his son, is like talking all that shit on this Facebook, acting like you a gangster. Well, come on, gangster, and he just like whipped him, and
Yeah,
put the video on Facebook and stuff. But it's just like, I mean, I get what you're trying to do, but I mean, think about it. Like it was embarrassing enough
right,
to get whooped in the store or at school.
right,
So, like you said, like millions of people is watching, like people who don't know you commenting, and as a teenager to a from a child to a teen or whatever. Yeah, that's not natural. Like to have strangers, shitting on you. It's
right.
yeah,
I always think about. I think the earliest example of that I remember was like, I think I was in like the seventh or eighth grade. There was this video that went viral on Facebook, I believe, and it was some white guy in a cowboy hat. I guess he found like his daughter's. I can't remember if they were text messages or Facebook messages about him and her mother or whatever. And then at the end of the video, after he read all this disparaging stuff that she supposedly wrote about him and everything, he pulled out a gun and shot her computer or something like that. And like I remember this was like real big with white people and stuff. Like it was going around. Like I said, it went viral uh, you know, on Facebook and everything because I remember the video just kept getting shared. I remember I was like, "Yo, this is crazy. Like, this is really wow." And also, what you
mhm.
think she gonna be writing about you after this?
Right. Yeah. Now,
Like, you know what I mean?
because
It's like,
like, unfortunately, property damage, that was a typical parental thing.
hmm,
Well, not typical. I mean, my mom didn't destroy any of my things, but
hmm,
I've had friends whose parents destroyed their stuff. But
hmm,
again, to do it in front of an audience, and also too, it's like, you know, you're teaching that little girl that, like, I mean, I'm thinking in extremes, but she
right,
can grow up and have a partner who thinks destroying property is cool, but she'll just think that's the normal thing just because her dad did
right,
it. So
right. Yeah, I don't know, man.
hey,
I never got stuff like that. I never thought it was really funny or like, dude, I remember being in the situation. This wasn't like filmed or nothing, but I remember being in a situation where I knew somebody and their kid got in trouble around his birthday, but they had the party. Well, it was nothing really scheduled with the venue, but we went to the little venue and he had to sit while everybody else got to play the games and stuff. And the father just kept sitting there like, "Oh, see how they can play games and you can't? Yeah, because you want to act up at
yeah, just
school."
rubbing it in.
Yeah, it's just like, again, I get the first couple times because you're trying to teach a lesson, but then when you just keep smacking it, like, bashing his shoulder, talking about, look at that, look at them playing, look at them, just like, I just be like, see, that's just, I don't know. I just don't really get the point of constantly taunting them because at that point, that's not teaching a lesson. You just bullying them at that. Like just like I don't really get that. He's already got to sit in punishment on his birthday. Like is like that's already embarrassing enough. Like, but to sit there
Right,
just
because
constantly egging him on, just like it's just crazy to me.
yeah, cause at one point, like like it eventually, I don't know, like where's the line, I guess, between
Mm,
discipline and just being a dick,
right,
Cause I don't,
right,
cause I don't. Well, I mean, definitionally that will be abusive, but I don't want to use such a strong word. It's
right,
but still, it's like okay, like I was just talking about like how I was talking to my mom, like about my mother. Yeah, she was a good parent, but she was also wasn't perfect. I mean, yeah, there were some ways she handled things that was a
right,
bit heavy handed, but I never got hit with no extension cord or anything like how my
right,
peers talked about. You know what I'm
right,
saying? Like I ain't necessarily got cussed the fuck out like either.
right, right,
So I got yelled at a lot. I definitely got
right,
whoopings, but I don't know. Like some of my friends would be like, "Oh yeah, my mom was whooping me and calling me all sorts of motherfuckers and shit like that." I'm
right,
like, God damn, boy,
right,
my uncle would punch me in the chest, peace be
right,
upon him. But yeah, he used to punch me and Chaz in the chest because, it's like, well,
right,
shit, you know, that was, it was acceptable back in the 90s, So,
right. Nah, I feel it. Yeah, it's like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, and then, well, also, and I guess to bring up the Chicago thing again, I also haven't been too happy with some of the community response. Like, there's people talking about they riding through the streets with they kids, nieces, and nephews trying to identify some of them kids from that video, talking about these kids need to get jumped and stuff like that. I'm like, y'all know y'all threatening children, right? Like, at the end of the day,
yeah,
as mad as we are at these kids, these is children. Like, what are y'all talking about?
right.
Like, this is crazy.
Like we want them to be, I mean, because, we want them to be disciplined, not like necessarily hurt.
Right,
Now, if it takes some charges being pressed, then sure, because I didn't watch the
right.
video, but I heard that beating was pretty savage.
Yeah,
Um,
no, it was crazy. Don't get me wrong.
like,
I ain't trying to.
I mean, because they
Uh,
managed to. Because how many of them were there? Because I think they manage
it
to
was. It
overpower the
was
mom too.
yeah, it was a lot of them, and then there was a lot who just sat there pointing, laughing, and watching too. It was a whole big horde of them, like, and they attacked
Mm,
the mom and the son. Now, luckily, from what it looked like in the video, I don't think they got the littlest daughter, but like, yeah, they just and these was, and I think that's the craziest part to me too, was that these was little kids that did this. Like, these look like
mm.
middle schoolers and everything. And the
Oh, okay.
fact that so many of them was so, let's say, devoid of a certain level of humanity that they thought that was okay. Like, that to me is really worrying. Is just like, because why do they feel that way? You know what I mean? Like,
Mm,
I mean, to
right.
really like,
I mean,
I mean,
and you did. I was gonna say you did share the example of the one parent who was just like, you know, yeah.
right.
So
Well, because there was another one who, and I guess she kind of felt a bit defensive after she was getting all the heat and everything. She was like, ain't nobody finna, come after my daughter or whatever. Y'all could get messed up too out here and stuff like that. And she kind of got defensive of now granted, they did kind of push her into a corner, like, because of the constant public harassment she was getting, but still, that
yeah,
wasn't a good response either, because now it looks like you're defending what your daughter did.
right.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know, like, yeah, I just feel like there's been a lot of reactions to this that haven't been great.
Yeah, because what? Let's see, and I know we were talking about like different examples. Like, what was the Well, I actually had to hear about this one. But it was just like, I mean, I guess it's innocent to an extent, but like you said, like like that humiliation thing. I think one of my coworkers was talking about. I don't know if it was a meme or a personal story, but this, I guess like this kid was like bullying this girl or whatever, and the parent made him dress like a clown or something like that because he was a bully. I
Hmm.
don't know. It was like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, I mean, I didn't see it on film or nothing like that, so
Right.
it's like I guess like at least they didn't
Yeah, I
try
was
to
about
get
to say,
social
yeah, I
media
guess like
likes with it.
that's not like to me, I guess that's not as bad, because and also like, yeah, if you're acting like a clown, then might as well dress like one, so I guess that's not as bad, but like, yeah,
And, you know, like,
to
and I've
me, it
heard
would be
some.
different if, like, for instance, a lot of them clout chasing ones I would see in that situation. Not only would they make you dress like a clown, but then they turn on the video and make you juggle in the middle of downtown. And then it's just like, it's just like it's just like, okay, who's this for then? That's not for the child at
Right,
that point. That's for
right.
you. Like,
Yeah, because it's like I don't know. It's because I was talking to one of my coworkers on the way back home, and she was talking about how her younger sister, she can be a little heavy handed with her children,
hmm
and like he'll just go off on like about some little stuff, and a lot of people say, look, if you're gonna discipline your children, at least try to cool down a little bit first.
right,
But how she would describe it was like, she would be angry in the moment and ready to lash out, like
right,
because she said she even left marks on some of those kids. I'm like, God damn, okay, you need to like
yeah,
you know, and as you said too, and speaking to your point, like I'm not a parent myself, and I get it. Like
hmm
growing up having to watch my little cousins, yeah, that's just fucking stressful. Like
yeah.
I'm ready to rip my hair out. You know what I'm saying? But
Listen, I
I
worked
don't
at a
know.
job
It's
with
like
children, and I thought about karate kicking them kids every day. Like,
right,
but
but you gotta think too. Like as an adult, at least, I was a
mhm,
teenager, watching them. So sometimes I may have been heavy handed with them. They were annoying enough,
mhm,
but you know I remember dad's girlfriend back in '98. Uh, 'cause I was up there for like a school year. Um, I
it
don't
was
know what
something
the
with
fuck
a
I
something with
said.
a L. It was something with a L. I know that because mom
No,
told me about it.
yeah, I'm not gonna say her name. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, I'm not gonna say her name. But but I don't know what the fuck I said to her. I don't know what I did, but
Mm,
I remember she took my finger, just started doing this,
mm,
and I don't know what a 7-year-old has to do to make you that mad,
right,
but I know whatever I did did not warrant that. But
right,
yeah, that was just the norm back then. Niggas, just,
right,
niggas like kids with punching bags, like
right.
So
Well, no, I mean, I remember when I was a kid, I accidentally called an older family member by her first name instead of by, cousin or aunt first name. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Mhm.
yeah. So I always remember this. I remember being really young too. It's one of like my like it's one of those memories like you kind of hold on to. I remember she threatened to beat me in front of the entire cookout and stuff. And I can't remember. I think I had to be like 6 or 7. Like I said, I still remember this. And because I actually just called her by her first name and not, you know, family title first name. You know what I mean? And yeah, she threatened to beat me and everything. And my mom seen it. She said, no, you're not. Like, hey, that's my
Oh,
child.
it was that particular family member that threatened you.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Cause
okay. Okay. I thought you. Okay, that's wild as hell. Like, how does
yeah, and my
this is a
mom,
child that's not yours? You know what I'm saying?
right. And my mom was like, hey, that's my child. Second off, he clearly made a mistake. Like he wasn't doing it to
Right.
be smart. Hey, you gonna sit there threatening
Yeah.
to put hands on him? Like, no, you're not.
Yeah. There's a continuum to this shit. Like if it was that serious to you, you could have been like, hey, B, my name is Aunt such and such. Don't call me just straight by my I don't know. Yeah. But as you
Yeah.
said, man, no one's perfect or nothing. But yeah, that's weird as fuck to threaten someone else's kid.
Hmm.
But I guess that was also back in them days where your uncle, your aunt, your grandma, anybody can just whoop
Right.
you. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah, that's one thing. Like, not saying everything was always perfect, but like that was one thing my mom was like big on was like she never really let nobody else even so much as threaten to put our hands on us. Like I mean, I remember when I was a kid, like I think my uncles or whatever, I think threatened to do something, but like, well, I mean, I guess them is my uncles, so them is like kind of two
right.
separate things, but even then, for the most part, like they never actually got around to doing it. And I don't know if it was because my mom said something or if they just didn't have the energy to do it. But for the most part, though, my mom never was like on some stuff of like letting like outside family or non-family put their hands on us. My mom was like, "Nah, that's not
Mhm.
happening." You know what I
I
mean?
think, yeah, cause I think the only people I didn't really have to get whippings from my grandma like that. I mean, she would pinch me and stuff. But yeah, I think outside of my mom, I think it was just my uncle and my grandma who would like discipline me as well. I mean,
Yeah,
I've had like other family members sort of discipline me, but they would usually just tell my mother and she would do it. You know what I'm saying?
right,
So,
right.
but
Nah,
I heard,
exactly.
well, I didn't know how true it was, but I heard some of my especially like in 5th grade, like I heard apparently some of my classmates, which I didn't know how true it was, but it was like, yeah, my mom gave the teacher permission to hit us. I was like,
Yeah. Well,
okay,
I mean, even
like,
then,
because I
I don't
thought
know
they,
if they.
but like even then, because even back then, I thought they discontinued that, like
Right, yeah, like, I don't think they would've let you do it unless yeah, I don't know how true that was, but, like, that's crazy.
yeah,
But,
it's
yeah, nah, I mean, there was always growing up in Catholic schools and stuff, everybody always just
yeah,
assumed
like
that, like, the
ruler to the
nuns would
hand,
be yeah,
like,
the ruler to the hand stuff. That never happened. Also, I feel like my mom would've burnt that school down if they ever tried to really
right,
do something like that. Like, nah, I don't think my mom would have let them get away with nothing like that. But I never was really at risk of that. Like, I think the only time
right, yeah,
seriously growing up, like in school, that I was like really, really chastised was like, I remember my grade school, the librarian, she was an old nun. I remember she like could fly off the handle real quick. And she never threatened to hit nobody, but she would
mm.
just scream at kids. And she was like 80 something. And you just be like now that I'm older, I'm just like, bro, we could have just blew and she'd have fell over. But like it's still crazy to think that she was doing that to children. But no, I think the only time I ever really got scared was like I remember my 5th grade teacher, he screamed at me in front of the entire class. Like he stood up and man and Mr. Wally. I don't know if he's still alive no more. I heard a rumor he might have died, but I'm not sure if that's real. But old I think he was either Irish or Italian. I'm not sure, but like he was old, but he was like a hefty dude,
Yeah,
and and I had never really heard him raise his voice before. Like he would get upset every once in a while, but it was whatever. He was our social studies teacher, and I remember he gave us a test, and and he I think he said on the test like, oh, you could skip questions or whatever, and he actually encouraged you to skip questions rather than just sit there, spend time on it the whole time. Well, I did the test. I ain't skipped nothing. I was actually doing pretty good
mhm,
on the test. Next week, he going off about how the test scores was bad and how they didn't look right. And next thing I know, he's screaming at me specifically. He's standing up at his desk on the whole other side of the room, but these is grade school rooms, so it didn't really feel like that
right,
far away. and he's screaming, talking about, and you, Brandon, you skipped 17 questions. He said, I don't know what grade you thought you were gonna get, but this is clearly a failure. And he said, you should be ashamed of yourself. I mean, and he aired me out in front of the whole class, bro. And I'm losing my mind, because I'm sitting there like, yo, like, what are you talking about? Like, I ain't skipped nothing. And I remember I went home to my mom and I just cried. I just cried. And I'm like, "Mom, like, he said I failed the test and everything, and he screamed at me in front of the whole class." And I'm telling her, like, I didn't skip 17 questions, like, and she's like, "Well, did you put your first and last name?" I'm like, "Yeah, I thought I did," because there was a little skinny white boy in the class. His last name was S2 and his first name was Brandon.
Uh,
And and he's like, "Oh, well, maybe he mixed yours up." And sure enough, the next day we get the test back. He did. I got like a 95% on the test. And
wow.
also, I wrote my last name out. So how he confused us, I will never know. Because I
I'd
literally
have
wrote
been death
Brandon
staring him
Self.
all day.
And I went home, showed my mom, and I'm telling her, I'm like, see, I told you, like I told you. And she called that school that night. She was cussing on the phone, talking about this grown ass man went and embarrassed my son in front of the class. And they had open house, I think, like the next week or so. And my mom didn't have a sitter, so she had to bring us to the open house. And sure enough, in the middle of the open house, he had to apologize to me because of what he did, like, and how he
Yeah.
humiliated me and everything. But I remember I was scared, bro. I was like, I felt like this man was about to come and suplex me. Like I thought it was a
But
done
it,
deal.
but you know what though, like even if you did skip 17 questions and failed, like yeah, like he had no business yelling at a kid like that. I
Right,
mean, I mean, not screaming his head off. I can understand, he's saying like, dang, like you need to study harder, something like
right,
constructive, but just straight screaming at you, like I mean, like I said, even if you did skip 17 questions
right,
and failed, like that was not right. So
right,
I'm glad he at least apologized to you. I mean, granted, it was by force, but still, like, you at least got to hear that adult
uh,
apologize.
right. Yeah, bro, that was some scary times. Uh, yeah, but actually, no, I actually had been threatened directly by an adult now that I think about it. Yeah, I did get threatened, not by him, obviously, but like I have been threatened directly by an adult. My mom shut it down, but like, yeah, I've been threatened. I was thinking about it. Yeah, no, I remember one time I got grabbed up in a Chuck E. Cheese by a random man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it
Yeah, your
was it
mom
was
had to be like,
crazy.
"What the fuck is wrong with you?" Oh,
Yeah, it was.
oh, it was like mistaken identity, right? He thought you stole something or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah. He thought
Mhm.
I bullied his daughter out some tokens and robbed him and stuff. Like I guess he thought I hit him with a Omar from The Wire and like
Right.
hustle and just grabbed them up out their hands or whatever. And yeah, nah, yeah, he grabbed me by my shirt and started dragging me around the Chuck E. Cheese, and I was terrified. Like, and it come to find out again, another case of mistaken identity, and it wasn't me.
Just because he was big and black. But
Yeah,
you know,
but yeah,
I,
yeah, man, it was crazy that. And the other time I told you this too, when I an old acquaintance of ours, when we was kids, tried to claim that I called her the B word or whatever, and then she went and told her cousins, and her cousins 30-something-year-old ex-felon husband tried to sick himself on me when I was like 12, and my mom recognized him from from Homewood and everything, and shut it down. And she was like, what she's like, it's nice seeing you and everything, but what you're not gonna do is put your hands on my child. Like, and also my mom knew that that girl was lying, first off. Second off, because that wasn't me as a kid. I ain't go around saying stuff like that to people. And then also,
Right.
she said even if he did, you just got a out of prison 15-year prison sentence for murder, like, and you gonna try to fight a 12-year-old? Like, what's wrong with
Right.
you?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. So I was
cra-
mostly immature folks in this world. And and it's crazy too, because like that's what makes me not want to be a parent. Because it's like, cause I don't know, like how would I react if my kid was a bully or being bullied?
right.
God damn it, I get that clock again. Hold on, but you can start talking, man. I'm
No, it's good. Yeah, no, no, I feel you. Yeah, it's a weird thing to think about. Like, I always wonder, like, if I do have kids, like, obviously I don't want them to be no victim like I was, like I experienced growing up. But I also don't want them to be so overconfident that they think they can go around punking people all day long. I don't and I don't know how you find that balance, because because there were people I knew growing up who they were so worried about appearing strong that they just took that mentality out to the world, and like it's hard to be around them. I still consider
Mhm.
them friends and everything, but like the whole world looks like a fight, because because you don't want that mentality either, nor do you want a bully mentality, nor do you want a victim mentality.
Right,
And so there has to be a way that you can raise a confident child who isn't scared but also isn't mad aggressive, and I don't know what that is.
right. And and that's why and this is my adult brain. That's why I just say about my mom and other parents. It's like, cause like I used to kind of hold a grudge with some of the stuff she would do, but I mean I just kind of realize now she
Right,
did the best she could with what she knew,
right,
and overall she was still a good mom. I mean I felt loved.
right,
I was definitely provided for. So
right,
I mean shout out to her for that. And all the parents out there just trying. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause that's all we can ask
right,
for. For you to
right.
try.
Exactly, exactly. I said if you there and you trying, I at least give you credit, like, the other stuff, you know, sure you can judge other stuff too, but to me, as long as you there and you're trying to be good, I at least give you somewhat credit. You at least get I at least grade on a curve when it comes to that. You know what I mean? Because and also, it's important to recognize what we just said, there and trying, because there are some people who are
Right.
there and ain't trying. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah,
and there's
yeah,
some
for real.
right,
Yeah, cause
so
my yeah, like my former friend, which she's actually being cordial with me now. Like her now, I don't know how he is now because apparently I heard he actually got a job. But her younger brother, like like the way she described him, like he was
right,
so bummy, like just just didn't want to do nothing. And
right,
like, his son was living with them at the time. I don't know if the child's mom still has him because I know they took him. But I remember this man, like she was telling me, like this fool had the nerve to ask us if his son ate. Why don't you know that? Like, you know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
that's
Like,
crazy,
why don't you know that? You was home all day.
right?
So, yeah, man. But shoot, well, we're almost at the top of the hour here. B, you got any closing
Yeah,
remarks?
yeah, just everybody do what you can, treat each other respectfully, and and the biggest way to teach respect and strength is to have respect and strength yourself. So, I think as long as you at least are attempting to make a real solid effort, you know, that's all you can really do. How about you?
Mhm. Oh yeah, man. I agree wholeheartedly with that. And also shout out to my mom. Happy birthday to you. And
Yep.
thank you for everything you've done. Shout out to B's mom because without her, I wouldn't
Hey.
have B. And shout out to her for doing everything that she could for you and your siblings. And also, Stay Focused EP is out. Go ahead and stream that, Don. Go ahead and
Okay.
stream
Okay.
that, John. I meant to say,
Wh-
I'm using
what
y'all's words.
platforms?
Go ahead and
Tell
stream
the
that, John.
platform.
To Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, even YouTube Topic. That is.
Yeah.
I guess eventually it'll be on Deezer. I never heard of Deezer, but I always get those emails. I'm like, your tracks are on Deezer. I'm like, okay, whatever that is. I hope motherfuckers is listening on there too. But yeah, man, it's been
Also
another. Oh, okay.
some guys shout out what they want podcast coming
Oh
up
yeah,
on
yeah.
Instagram,
Let's
you
flip it.
know. And also shout out to our sister over at
Yes.
the Raw
Oh, I'm really
Recovery.
flipping. Thank you, B.
Yeah, Raw Recovery, the community is what her podcast is called. Granted, I was trying to I meant to ask her, but I didn't get a handle on what days they premiere on. I just assumed it was yeah, I couldn't get a handle on which days like they actually do their premieres. So I gotta ask her about that. But they do have one, two, three. I think they got 3 episodes out so far. So this is
Oh,
them
nice. Okay.
on where's my camera at? I always be so confused.
Uh,
I think it's somewhere in the middle.
I might
Okay.
as well just.
This
I'm gonna type it in the comment section too. Support,
okay. Okay.
support,
But yeah, no,
uh,
definitely please support our sister,
sister
She
Danny
they've been very
on
she's
the.
this
It's
is a
called the Raw
project,
Recovery,
Raw Recovery the Community.
and that's
That's
the
what it's
podcast.
called.
That's what the podcast is called. Okay.
I believe so, yeah.
Whoops.
Um, but yeah,
Raw
no, this is something that's near and dear to
Recovery.
her, they speak on issues about addiction and other, stressors and stuff like that.
Damn it.
But this is something that's been near to dear to our sister. She's been really trying to plan this out for a long time, so please support her, but yeah, let her know that not only is her actual family representing, but the SOS family's representing too. But thank y'all so much for listening to
Uh,
us.
I have this dang thing in the way. Oh, there it is. Raw Recovery, the community. There you go.
Yeah,
Am I spelling community right? All right. I think I did. Support our sister Danny on the Raw Recovery, the community podcast.
right. But yeah, man, I just want to say thank y'all for joining us and thank y'all for listening. And yeah, hope you have a great rest of y'all weeks. We out, y'all. Peace.
Peace out.